want to welcome all the attendees and obviously the participants to tonight's first in a series of live roundtable discussions that will be taking place over this next 3-month period of time of the IAHPERD virtual conference. My name is Mark Fulmer. I'm past president of IAHPERD, and I'll be tonight's moderator for this evening. Tonight's discussion will be revolving around future professionals, and those are the individuals that are studying to go into the health and physical education field, or have an interest in getting involved with the Council for Future Professionals in leadership, as well as with future IAHPERD leadership. We have with us an all-star of panelists that have served as past or present CFP presidents that I would like to introduce to everyone. So when I mention you, just kind of give a wave so everyone can see who our panelists are. Start off with Rachel Erb, who is a past IAHPERD CFP president. She's a graduate of Aurora University, currently serving as IAHPERD past VP of Teenage Youth, and currently a professional at Oswego East High School. So welcome, Rachel. I'm glad you're able to join us. Next up is Mike Torres. He, again, also a past IAHPERD CFP president, a graduate of Aurora University, and is currently serving as the IAHPERD VP of Children, and is currently a professional at Oakview Elementary School in Bolingbrook. Welcome, Mike. Next up is Al Ramirez, currently serving as IAHPERD CFP president. And if I believe correctly, you are finishing up your degree at Northeastern Illinois University in Chicago. Awesome. Thanks, Al. I appreciate you taking the time out of your schedule and joining us. And finally, Carolyn Cross, who is currently serving as the IAHPERD CFP president-elect and is a future professional also attending Northeastern Illinois University. And I know I even saw Jomari in there, and I do want to recognize Jomari. He is a past CFP president as well. Again, I want to thank all of you for your time and willingness to serve as panelists for tonight's first roundtable discussion. Second, I want to commend both of your universities. You heard the pattern there. We have a couple from Aurora University and a couple of leaders from Northeastern Illinois University. And as I was mentioning prior to this whole event tonight, my wife and I, Becky and I, we have the opportunity to visit a lot of colleges and universities, not only in Illinois, but across the board. And we have been very, very impressed with the programs both at Aurora University and Northeastern Illinois University. So you should be very proud of the schools that you attended, graduated from, the professionalism that the staff bring to the health and physical education program there is outstanding, and the professionals that are being put out into the field are amazing individuals, and I applaud you for being some of those high quality professionals coming out of high quality programs. So thank you very much. What we would like to accomplish tonight is to give attendees and future professionals a glimpse into what it takes to be a leader, both in CFP, the Future Professionals Program in IAHPERD, but also IAHPERD itself as the state association. We want to share some benefits and of how both the learning experience has a positive impact and how it can move into how you can then move into the profession itself. And hopefully our attendees will be able to take some of that information away and use it and get involved with leadership, whether it's within CFP, IAHPERD as a state association, or within their own school as they move into the profession itself. I do want to recognize Eric Chan. He's going to be directing tonight's event and monitoring any questions that you might have. So if you have a question that might not be answered or you want to follow up on something, please feel free to write that in the chat. And we will start off with some questions that we as a group have put together, and panelists I will direct a question specifically to a person, but any panelists, please feel free to jump in and share out as we get going here. So I'd like to start off. First question, I'm going to direct this to you, Mike. What does being a member of IAHPERD mean to you?
Well, before I go into this question, I kind of want to ask everyone a question, and it's why did you go into this profession in the first place? Why did you even think about becoming a physical educator? And I would just want you to reflect on that real quick before I even answer this question. So just take like 30 seconds, think about it. Probably it's not even going to take you that long, but just want you to think about that for a second. Wish I had my timer with me.
I know, right?
At this point. So as you're thinking about this, of why you went into this profession, I feel like there's one common answer, and that is to educate kids on how to be lifelong learners, right? And being a part of IAHPERD, I feel is for me, it's being above and beyond. You want to go above and beyond for your kids, so why not be a part of an organization that helps you provide for those, for your, not only for your kids but for yourself as a professional. And not only are you providing for yourself and for those kids that you're instructing, but this is a family. There's so many people that I've met through this organization, and they've become family over the years. The support that comes from them, and it's I want to say it's not overwhelming, but it's just like, wow, like I would have never expected coming in here 4 or 5 years ago and making the connections that I've had today. And if I could sum up what it means to be, a member of IAHPERD and what it means to me, is just lifelong. It's something that I'm looking at a couple years down the road, and I'm still going to be a member. And yeah, that's basically what it means to me.
Nice. Anyone else? Any other panelists want to jump in there? I agree with you, Mike. I have to say that is probably the biggest benefit from a professional standpoint. Obviously, getting to know so many people, it's had a great impact for me personally and from a professional standpoint. So I have to echo what you said there. Thank you very much. This next question I'm going to direct to you, Rachel. Why do you stay involved in IAHPERD past those required years as a student getting into the field?
All right, Mark, I wanted to chime in to kind of piggyback off of what Mike was saying.
Absolutely.
Because it's essentially the same answer. So like a lot of us, especially when you are in college, right, or your university, and in your program, a lot of times your university advisor kind of just like says, hey, go to IAHPERD, this is what it is, right? So I was very fortunate. My university advisor at the time, Dr. Beebe, she's no longer there. She's at a different school now, but she was she did a very good job kind of exposing me to what a physical educator could be, right? So Mikey kind of asked the question of why are we physical educators, or why are we health educators? Like, why did we get into this profession? And it really does stem along the lines of, I want to be a lifelong physical educator. I want to teach kids that being physically active is extremely important. And in order to do that, we need to model it ourselves. In addition to that, like he said, it's a family. Every November, except for this November, obviously, moving forward in December, like I really feel rejuvenated when I see everybody. I feel like I can bounce ideas off of the other professionals that I work with. And that's something that really, there's no words for it. Like it truly makes me speechless with how I know that if I am maybe thinking of a lesson and I've talked to my coworkers at Oswego East about it, but we haven't really gotten anywhere. I know that I could call up somebody at a different school that I've met through IAHPERD, and they would be very willing to bounce ideas off of me and just kind of like help me tweak things. So that's something that if it's making me the best version of a teacher I can be, it's something that I want to stay with, hopefully for the rest of my life, and be active and involved in it.
The two key things that I heard out of both of your answers, obviously the family part of it, but what I think is really important here is you both mentioned students as well. And really that's why we all get into the field itself. It's because we want to have an impact on students. And a lot of times that gets lost in what we do on a daily basis. And I really I appreciate that tremendously when you mention that. So that's outstanding. Anyone else want to share out as well on either one of those two questions? Okay. Next question. Again, I'm going to go back to you, Rachel. How did active student involvement in IAHPERD contribute to the success with your job search?
All right, so this one's kind of twofold. Initially, because I'm a little bit older than most students, so I was in the military prior, so I kind of had that experience behind me, which allowed me to, I wouldn't say give me it made me feel comfortable to kind of speak up and to be a leader within the program. And once I did decide to run for CFP president, I went to SHAPE Boston. And at SHAPE Boston, I went to one of Illinois' actually presenters, one of his presentations, and there was a department chair from Tampa there. So just by being associated, just by meeting this person, she gave me an interview the very next day and I got hired for a position in Tampa. Now, I said this was twofold because I'm still in Illinois. I did kind of get hooked in. I was doing student teaching at Neuqua Valley, where Bill Casey is a department chair there. And my cooperating teachers, both of them were just absolutely fantastic. Like, I could not be more grateful for the experience that they gave me, for them allowing me to kind of like be a bird and fly on my own. And little did I know that once I told one of my cooperating teachers that, hey, I got this job in Tampa, I'm super excited, but I'm also kind of nervous because I live in Illinois. Like, it would be me picking up and going. She actually knew one of the department chairs knew my department chair at Oswego East. So she kind of made that phone call, got the wheels turning a little bit, which was awesome, right? So I'm very thankful for that. But how IAHPERD ties into this section is I got my student teaching placement at Neuqua Valley because I met Bill Casey through IAHPERD. I would have never gotten that placement. I would have never thought to even apply for that placement. But because I was able to have that connection, I was able to kind of, I don't know, have that next chain on my link to get me to where I'm at now. So thank you, Bill.
Outstanding. And I will add in the simple fact that in CFP, you guys as leaders, I know you put together an amazing leadership conference in February, cross our fingers. And part of that is the speed interviews that you do. And we may not think a lot about that, but that is really a critical learning part for any future professional, because it does put you in a situation where it is a little bit stressful. And it's really interesting. And because of that opportunity, you do start to make connections with people that are already in the field. So that's good. I'm glad you brought that up. That's really important to share that out with everyone as well, Rachel. Thank you. Any others that want to share in or respond to that? I have to take my time because we want to make sure there's always that little bit of a delay. So I don't want to speed through too quickly. This next question, Mike, I'm going to direct this one to you. How has being involved in IAHPERD affected your life in the field of physical education?
If I could just sum it up, I would say it just made me a way better educator than I could ever imagined. you know, IAHPERD has so much to offer as a means of not only just being a part of the organization, but they offer, you can send in for grants. You can, like I said, like Mark mentioned, there's a leadership conference for young professionals that blew me out of the water the first year I went. I know Rachel went before I did. She just went by herself, so I can't even imagine what she was feeling, before that. And she recommended, she was like, hey, Mike, why don't you come with me to leadership next year, whatever. And then she didn't even mention the speed interviews that I had to go through, which was brutal. And I know I can tell Jamari, Caroline, and Elle, they can all attest to this. It's very nerve-wracking, but I'm going to tell you right now, it helped me out so much with interviews in the future. It made me so more confident. Um, and yeah, and it's not only that, but I kind of lost my train of thought. Hold on, I'm trying to
It's all right. No,
uh,
it's very helpful.
yeah,
It has played or had an impact on you from a professional standpoint. It prepared
absolutely.
you for some of those potentially stressful moments. Is at least what I'm hearing out of that response, and we can't underestimate the importance of that because it just helps you prepare. And when you have a lot of people applying for a position, that might be the one edge that gets you noticed by an administrator or a group of people that are reviewing those people, interviewing those for those positions. So
Yeah,
that's
absolutely. And if
uh,
I could piggyback off that as well, and being a part of IAFERD, you throwing that on a resume, and some administrators don't even know what IAFERD is. And as soon as you mention, it's an organization for physical education and dance and health, and I'm a part of it, and that I'm very advocate of educating the youth, and that looks really good on you. It looks really good on you, and it's just like Mark said, it kind of puts you on a pedestal above everybody else that kind of applied for that position. And also, I wanted to mention that the ideas that I've gotten from IAFERD and all the people that have been a part of this organization is just endless. I still remember my first year, I still struggled with, getting ideas and activities and trying to find out what to do my first day. And now I'm flooded with a whole bunch of ideas that I'm just been bouncing off of other people, other professionals. And if it's one thing I can recommend, get a professional Twitter. Get on Twitter, follow a bunch of people on. I kid you not. I go scroll through, like, say if I'm stumped for a week and I don't know what to plan for, I just a couple scrolls on Twitter, whoever I'm following, and I'm just grabbing, making a copy on Google. It's insane. Um, and it's such a crazy atmosphere to be in, especially so where we're at now, and being online and teaching online, and we're not in person anymore. You can run out of ideas very, very quickly, and so that just kind of helped me out a lot. So
absolutely. That is a great recommendation to everyone. If you aren't on Twitter, just for whatever reason, health and physical education teachers tend to go to that as a social media platform from a professional standpoint. And you're exactly right, Mike. The ideas that are shared out there are amazing. And what's neat about it is someone like yourself, because I see you sharing as well all the time, but someone like yourself may share one idea and then someone else will take that to a whole nother level, and it just keeps building. And the bottom line is we are delivering high quality programs to our students, and that's the most important thing out of all that. So that's a good tip, good takeaway from that. I appreciate that. Anyone else would like to share on that one? Rachel, this next question will be we'll hit you for this one. What advice would you give to a new professional in the field?
Mark, there's a lot of advice I would give to people, but I'm gonna I'm gonna limit it just to a couple. So the first thing that I want to say, and this is first and foremost, first and foremost is always students, care for your students, obviously. But aside from the student perspective, become best friends with the support staff. Have a family at the school that you work with, especially a lot of us being coaches, right? So most of you, if you're in P.E and Health, you probably have aspirations to coach. My favorite human at Oswego East is our custodian. Every time I see him, he asks me how my son is. I show him pictures. I ask him how his grandkids are. And that right there just brings me a little bit of joy every day. Like, I know I'm going to walk in and I'm going to see him, and that's just going to brighten my day. And that is huge, especially on days that we struggle, right? As humans, we all have our days where we are just burnt out or cashed or just upset about something. So have your family at whatever school that you end up being, whether it be the custodians, the secretaries, other teachers. And like I said, like, we are coaches. So oftentimes, like, your teacher best friends are going to be, and I teach at a high school level. So there are science teachers and history teachers and English teachers. So just having that family makes your life at work so much better. In addition to that, learn from them. So oftentimes obviously not this year with it being remote, during my prep period, I will go in and sit with one of the other coaches' history class. And even though health education and PE don't really match up with history, a lot of the lessons that I learn and how instruction is being given and how this teacher does this and how that teacher does that, even the setup of their room makes such an impact on the students' learning environment and how they're learning. And if I'm teaching all freshmen and the freshman history teacher is teaching them in the same way, that's really going to benefit the students a lot, knowing that there's that consistency, knowing that there is that those new ideas again. So that way it's not just stagnant. You're constantly learning, and this goes with Mike's lifelong learner thing. Like we are constantly needing to improve. With that being said, again, like I'd mentioned, I'm no spring chicken. So getting to know these other teachers and what they're doing, it really kind of allows us to really connect with these kids and what is interesting to them. Because if I were to do a lesson that is outdated or doesn't pique their interest, it's not going to be relevant. So really kind of just being open to everything new and finding your own family at your school.
Outstanding. I want to reinforce what you just said there, that growth mindset is really important for all of us. It just makes you a better teacher. And we know that there are a lot of teachers out there that may not be in the situation that you're in, where you have other health or physical education teachers that you can talk to, especially at the elementary level. When you're all by yourself, you have to have that person that you can go to that can help you out. And I agree with you completely. The custodian was my best friend, I'll tell you, not only because they could help me out with a lot of different things, but they were usually the first person I would see when I got into the school, because they were down in the gym helping out, do whatever. And that's really important. The other takeaway that I heard from you there is that I want to stress out to everyone is that when you start to develop those relationships with other teachers, as you mentioned, the kids start to realize that physical education and health goes beyond just the four walls of your classroom, that things do commingle, so to speak, that something you might be doing in health or physical education class can have an impact in a science classroom as well. And so I think those are really important things that you brought up there. And I hope, or I want to reinforce that to everyone that's listening in right now. Rachel, I'm going to come right back to you again. Which sessions would you recommend a future professional or someone who's just gotten into the field? What sessions would you recommend that they attend during a convention, whether it's virtual or face-to-face?
Absolutely. So I would first, for students, I would recommend any of the CFP sessions. So typically, Mary in the past, Rita, and now myself, because I'm stepping into that role, we typically try to find sessions that are based on interviewing, based on things that new teachers need to know. I don't know the status of the EdTPA right now, but usually we have like a how to pass your EdTPA tips and tricks sort of thing. So anything that has CFP associated with it, that is catered to students. Oftentimes, so when I first went to IAHPERD and I was not involved in IAHPERD aside from my membership, I was very overwhelmed. Like I walked into Pheasant Run and I was like, there is stuff everywhere. And I kind of just didn't know where to begin, right? So now, again, kind of advising to go to those CFP sessions and really kind of picking a couple sessions that pique your interest. So if you want to be an elementary PE teacher, right? Really kind of watching a bunch of tips and tricks, but also with that understanding that you may not end up in the elementary realm. So maybe go and explore some others, right? So kind of have a little of everything. It's hard to say, but don't be overwhelmed, right? But to kind of dabble in a couple of activities to learn new things, but also those I don't lecture style, I guess, the turquoise, the gem rooms, right? Where you're learning the SEL components, where you're learning the growth mindset. There's usually a session on that. You mentioned that, Mark, where you're learning diversity and how to be in a classroom. Because at the end of the day, whether you're in a gym or an actual classroom, that is your classroom and those are your students. And to include that social emotional learning and to include that diversity and just kind of a refresher onto how to be a good human, that right there just kind of encompasses part of my reason of why I'm a PE and health teacher.
Outstanding. You are right. It can be overwhelming, and it's not just for future professionals when you see the number of sessions. And in fact, I have that feeling with this year's virtual convention of all the sessions. And I'll just mention a quick mention. There are sessions, even in this situation being virtual, that are geared for future professionals. I know that right off the top of my head, and this will peak up or perk up Mike's ears here a little bit. Judy LoBianco, who is the past Shape America president, she's doing a session on tips and tricks for interviewing. And because she ran one of the larger school districts in New Jersey, was the head of health and physical education, she was the person that was in charge of all the hiring K through 12. And so, boy, I would really recommend that session for sure for all future professionals. There are many more. I know we have some amazing speakers. If I'm not mistaken, Dr. Kim Ballard is doing one out of North Carolina. Dr. Maljak, do you have a session as well? Thumbs up on that. I thought I saw your name as well. So there are lots of sessions.
In January. Yeah, in January.
Thank you. So I encourage all of you, as Rachel said, to continue. This is a 3-month convention. So at the beginning of each month, December, January, February, there are new sessions that will be coming out. So just because you may only see a couple in the month of December, check back in at the beginning of January and then February to see the new added sessions. And at any time, you can always go back and view sessions from past months. So I strongly encourage all of you to do that. Carolyn, we're gonna jump over to you for this next question. If you could sum up your IAHPERD leadership experience in one word, what would it be and why?
Thank you. First off, I wanted to say, Mark,
Absolutely.
Becky, everyone who helped set this up, all the current IAHPERD members and CFP members. I was excited about this. So for this question, the first word, honestly, that came to my mind, and I'm going to go with it, is evolving. And I mean that in a positive way. I feel that it's helped me evolve on a personal level, on a professional level. And I know I haven't been a part of IAHPERD leadership for too long, but for the time I have been a part, I've learned a lot. And I don't mean to keep bringing up COVID and kind of, all the issues that have come from that. But given the situation, I felt it's appropriate. And I think going off of evolving is we've all had to adapt and evolve to successfully do our best to navigate through these times. And I know for myself personally, IAHPERD has helped me to do that. And I'm confident that that same process will continue with my future in IAHPERD. So I'd have to say evolving was the one that stuck.
That's a really good word. I think we all need to keep that in our hip pocket and use that on a regular basis, because even old professionals need to continue to evolve. And that goes back to the growth mindset. And we're always dealing with changing situations in our school setting. And so you have to be able to evolve and roll with the punches sometimes. So that's a really good one. Very good. Anyone else want to share out on that question? Al, we're going to get you in this now.
All right.
Al, what has been the best experience you have had being in a position of leadership?
Well, I would say the whole thing as a whole, experiencing from when I got elected to now, it's all been a good experience for me. From, planning a trip, going down to Tampa and, going to these socials to network with people from other states, and, being able to then, plan leadership. And, I was grateful to have Jamari ahead of me, because, when he was elected, he didn't have someone before him. Well, there was a person that was supposed to be before him, but, something happened. So then, Jamari pretty much was thrown in. So I, learning from Jamari and him helping me after he left, and, showing me the ropes, and just from planning that leadership to, I hate to bring up COVID again, but, COVID kind of derailed a lot of things. And then coming into, this year of mine as the president year, and being able to organize a virtual Jeopardy, if you will, and, getting students involved and whatnot. Just everything as a whole has been a great experience for me, because things I didn't think I'd ever do in 100 years, and, the last 10 years, I'm doing them now. And, as I, did these things, and then, get them accomplished and completed. And then I look back, I tell myself, like, wow, I did that. I was able to experience that. I was able to organize it. I was able to network with, professionals and people at my school, and, get my peers involved. So just the whole thing as a whole, for me, it's been great. It's been a great experience, even though at the time, with like schoolwork and, personal life, and, trying to balance everything out, might have been hectic. It might have been hard. It might have been stressful at the time. But then, once I got through the storm, for me, it was like, okay, this actually is a good experience for me. And it's like, one of my favorite basketball players, Blake Griffin, one of his quotes that I'll always repeat is, fall in love with the process, and even though the process might be really hard for you at the time, just fall in love with it, because, you want to be able to experience everything before you move on. That way you could carry on that experience to your next, your next endeavor that you're going to do. So just the whole thing is an experience. It's
Absolutely.
great.
Absolutely. I've had the pleasure to see how you have taken on some challenges, and you weren't afraid. And that's so impressive. In fact, I can say that confidently, knowing all four of you, actually five, because I've had time to talk with Jamari as well. And that's the one thing I've always walked away so impressed with all of you, is that you have all stepped up to any kind of a challenge, and you were never afraid of any kind of failure that may be thrown out at you. And you overcame all that. So I want to applaud all five of you. And it's been very impressive, and I've been honored to get to know all five of you. And so I hope that journey continues. Does anyone else want to add into that response of Al's?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, good.
Just to build off of what Al said and what Carolyn said, IAHPERD just has been just an amazing experience for me. As Al spoke on it, I was kind of put into a tough position where I had to take over the Council of Future Professionals president spot without having that president-elect position under my belt. And the thing that really got me through it is just the fact that IAHPERD just does a great job at just making you feel like your family, you know, helping you grow as an individual and as a professional. You can talk to them about your problems, about what's going on in life, and they help you through it. They help you with whatever's going on in the classroom and whatever's going on in real life. And I really do appreciate that. I want to thank all the professionals for that because it really did help me through that challenge. But that's
Nice.
all.
That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that, Jamari. I appreciate that very much. So Carolyn, let's jump back to you. And our next question for you will be, what do you hope students and young professionals take away from IAHPERD leadership roles?
For this one, it's kind of going off of what Jamari was just talking about, and Al mentioned it, Rachel, I'm pretty sure most of the presenters have kind of brought this up, but the fact that with IAHPERD, you're not alone, and that there are so many people there to help and resources available to you. And I think this resonates with me as a current student working my way to become, you know, a young future professional. And that I think sometimes we fall into this mindset. I know I personally do that. When you think leadership role, you almost should have the answers to a lot of things, and you should know how to do things correctly because you're a leader. Like, you need to set an example. But given my experience with IAHPERD and just, you know, evolving through the process, is learning that that's actually not the case, and that you should ask for help. That's the whole point of being a leader, is you should always be kind of finding out new resources, new people to go to. So for me, it was like this aha moment where it just all flipped and everything connected. And I understood that a leader doesn't mean you're like a master at whatever it is. So I think that I hope, you know, other future professionals or students can have some type of experience like that, where they realize this is a process. It's okay to make mistakes and know that there's people you can reach out to and you should reach out to. And through IAHPERD, you know, you have this community and you have these resources that can just help guide you. So I would say the idea of a support team, a community would be the one thing I would hope students would take away.
I really like that, Carolyn, because we've heard a lot from all of you that have chimed in and responded, and you've all talked about that family aspect. That's been a really common word, and you are exactly right, Carolyn, that you're not alone when you are in that leadership position. And in fact, I personally enjoy the teamwork opportunity that you're given, and I would much rather dive in and take on a challenge with a team and not as an individual. I think we accomplish more because we can tap into everyone's thought processes and accomplish so much more and have a bigger impact, not only on our profession, but again, when we go back to it, we're all in this for our students, and we can have a greater impact for kids. So I really like that. I'm glad you mentioned that again, because that really, I don't know why, but it really clicked in my mind, that family aspect, that you're not alone. So thank you very much for that.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Rachel.
I would like to piggyback off of what Carolyn was saying as
Yeah.
well, about how she had mentioned the skill of understanding that like you may not know everything and that you are not alone, and to have each other as resources. To understand that skill of, hey, I may not have all of the answers now, is really crucial translating into the classroom, because your first day in the classroom, I'm telling you right now, my first day in a gym and in my own classroom, I looked around and I was like, it's me. If there's a fire drill, it's me. Like, I am the adult in this room. So to be able to confidently go up to another teacher and be like, I don't know what I'm doing, right? It takes a lot of, it humbles you a little bit, but in the best way possible, of saying like, hey, I know I just graduated, but I just graduated. Like that's essentially what it does, which is awesome. Like that is where you build those relationships with other teachers. And that is where you find that mentor in your building. And it really comes down to knowing that you can't do it alone and you don't have to.
Excellent, excellent response. Yeah, that's that new teacher card that I like to talk about. And when you're that new teacher, you play that card every chance you get. It'll help you go beyond the boundaries that you may have put in place there, and it pushes you into a direction where you're willing to try things and you don't fear failure. So excellent answer. I'm glad you piggyback. I'm glad you shared that, Rachel. I really do appreciate that. Al, we're going to go back to you on this next question. What have you taken from this experience that you never thought you would ever do?
Well, for me, the one specific one I'd never thought I'd ever do, and this actually goes to like my personal stuff with me being a lot of a sort of an introvert, a shy person that doesn't really, go out much or talk to people, was get on that stage at Pheasant Run and give that speech in front of several schools. It's one thing to give a speech in front of your peers or do a class presentation when you have an assignment due and you have to present in front of your class. It's completely different when you're presenting or you're giving a speech in front of a bunch of strangers, including your own school. I never thought I'd ever do that in my life, but when I stepped on that stage, I thought to myself that if I'm gonna be elected, then I might as well just go ahead and do this without being afraid, because I'm going to have to talk to all these students. So one of the things that I'm gonna, take from this is that, I was afraid to give speeches, and now I'm not afraid at all. I'm actually like giving speeches. I like to, put myself out there like I've never done before. So that's one of the things that I've never thought I'd do that I ended up doing. So
Nice. Anyone else? That's a good story. That's a good one, because that is a hurdle that a lot of us have to overcome. Awesome job. I do have one final question that I would like to ask. I think it's important that everyone that's here, that's visiting now and future, when they check in on this recorded session, how can someone who might be interested to and wants to get involved with CFP leadership, who should they go to? Is it what should happen? What should take place?
are this towards me?
It's really towards Rachel, Mike, Jomari, Al, or Carolyn, either one of you. How can, if here I'm a student at Eastern Illinois University, how can I get involved with whether it's CFP specifically or IAHPERD in general?
Al, do you want to take this or do you want me to?
You can take it, Rachel.
Okay, perfect. So I am actually one of the new CFP advisors. So if you are interested, please reach out to me. Mark, will you be sharing our email addresses with students?
We can probably do that in a future, if we send something out to student members of IAHPERD, and I'll jot that down. That can be something that we can follow up with later on.
Okay.
After this is done, that would be helpful. Yeah.
Thank you. Or if you are interested in emailing me, if you Google Rachel Erb Oswego East, my email will pop up. So if you are interested in that, whether you're interested in running for a position or you want to be involved by like maybe providing ideas, because we do look for students, like Caroline was saying, like we are evolving, we are always changing, we are always trying to improve, right? And if you have an idea that maybe like, hey, the students want to see more of this, like myself, I've been teaching for 4 years. I've been out of the student realm for a little while. The other advisor, Rita, she's been teaching for 20 plus years. So we need people to come forward. We need people to say what they want, because we don't know what you want unless you tell us. So if there's something specific that you want to see, please reach out to us, whether it be myself, Al, Carolyn, who are the current president and president-elect. Reach out to one of us and we can definitely help you out with that. Now, if you're interested in applying for the CFP president position coming up, we did send out an email to your university advisor. So talk to your university advisor. They have a Google form for you to fill out. This process is a little bit different this year. Al was saying that he stood on a stage at Pheasant Run. Our process this year is a little bit different, where you will send an email with answering a couple of questions, very, very generic questions about information. And then you will submit a 1 to 2 minute video kind of as your, I don't want to call it a campaign, but kind of expressing why you want to take on this responsibility. And when you do that, then other students will post them and other students will go in and vote, right? Because it's not something where we appoint anybody. It is very student led. So you kind of have that power to vote for who you want your next CFP president to be.
That's awesome information you shared out. That's really good, very helpful. What we'll do is I'll make sure that moving forward that we send out your contact information, Rachel, to the current student membership of IAHPERD, and that way they can reach out and get involved. I do encourage all of you to take that opportunity. You've already shown that you're leaders because you're here tonight, and so I think take that next step forward. You really have no idea what lies ahead and what doors will open for you when you take on leadership roles. But I can tell you from personal experience, I've never been disappointed when presented with a leadership opportunity, and how it builds on future opportunities. So, and the bottom line is it's always made me a better teacher. So I do encourage you to get involved with that.
Absolutely. And I'm sorry, Mark, I want to
good.
Well, I actually completely forgot about student leadership. Caroline, do you want to talk about that? It completely slipped my mind.
Oh, no problem. We met, Rachel, myself, Al, and Rita maybe 2 weeks ago, I want to say, and we started to put together a plan for the leadership conference that's usually in February, and it's like Friday, Thursday night, Friday, Saturday. So we're going to do something virtual, and we're in the process of working on solidifying some presenters, and we have decided something along the lines of e-learning, how to develop that social, emotional learning. So we have some fun stuff planned, we're trying to do some type of team building, I guess, like icebreaker game of like a escape room instead of how we usually do like a scavenger hunt. So we're trying to take the components from our in-person conference and merge them into virtual. We're also doing the speed interviews, so that'll still be there. But as for finalizing details and speakers, we're kind of still getting that taken care of. But as of now, Rachel, Al, I think that's about where we've gotten, right?
Yep, that's as far as we got.
It is. I didn't mean to put you on the spot. I'm sorry. I just figured.
No, you're fine.
For your time to shine.
No, it's all good. Thank you.
Nice, nice.
And so it is 100% for sure going to be virtual, then no in person. Okay. And do we know if there's going to be a cap on how many people attend?
At
Ah.
this
Not
At
yet.
this point, I don't think we do, no. And I don't think it's been confirmed that it's 100% virtual, but I would say it's gonna be 100%
It's
virtual.
looking that way. Okay,
Yes,
thank you.
it's one of those things, I know people kind of say, like, they wait till last minute and kind of bounce back, like, it's probably gonna be virtual.
Nice. Any other comments or anything that you would like to share? Well, I'll tell you what, I really appreciate everyone's time here. I want to thank Mike and Rachel, Al, Caroline, and Jamari. Thank you for jumping in as well. We have to thank the IAHPERD Tech Committee for not only organizing the convention, but also this live session. Becky, I know, is out there somewhere. Bill and Eric and the rest of the tech committee, thank you very much for this opportunity to be able to share out with all of you. For all of you future professionals, the one thing I got to tell you is you are in the best field there is. Because when you think about it, health and physical education has an impact on someone's life all the way through, K through 90. And when the story that I'll share is, and it's a silly story, I understand that, but when an EMT or an ambulance person is taking you to the hospital, they're not asking you, do you know the Pythagorean theorem? They're asking you, what kind of exercise do you do? What kind of medications are you on? What are you eating? And those questions all come back to us, health and physical education teachers. So we have the greatest impact for life on people. And so you are all in the greatest field there is, and I applaud all of you. Again, thank you all for joining in tonight's live discussion, roundtable discussion. I want to highlight just some upcoming events. December 21st, it is a Monday at 8 p.m. There will be an IAHPERD social. So we're trying to get that feel for what it's like when we're in a face-to-face situation. Look for that information. You can register for that, and then you'll get a Zoom link to be able to join in. Our other upcoming live events, in January, we have on Thursday, January 14th at 8 p.m. Central Time, we'll have a discussion, a roundtable discussion on social justice, which will be led by Sean Nevels from Shape America. He's the program director from Shape America. Also, on Thursday, January 28th at 8 p.m., we'll have another live event with Kevin McGrath. This is a kind of an inspirational speaker, keynote featured presenter. He's an elementary physical education teacher out of Virginia. He started a nonprofit organization called Adopt a Gym, and he's going to share his incredible story growing up, which I know will inspire you. And because of that, he's moved forward, and now he's giving back to schools in need through his Adopt a Gym program. So I want to encourage you to join in on that as well. Be sure to sign up for those events. They're all, once you register, you'll be sent a Zoom link. So I encourage you to do that. So mark your calendars. And again, on behalf of Mike, Rachel, Al, Caroline, and Jomari, thank you so much for joining in and being panelists. I appreciate your time on all of this, and all of you that attended, I appreciate your time as well. Thank you so much. Be safe, everyone, and continue to check out all of those sessions that we are offering this month. Don't forget, January, February, new sessions will be coming out each one of those months. Have a safe holiday, everyone. Thank you.